So introduction. Diabetes mellitus, in short DM, is most common endocrinopathy. Endocrinopathy means dysfunction in the endocrine gland. What is the function of endocrine gland? Hormone production. So dysfunction in that gland, any endocrine gland, is known as endocrinopathy. So diabetes mellitus is one of the most common endocrinopathy. Now the causes could be related to 4 organs, that is pancreas, liver, intestine and kidney. So in pancreas, decreased insulin secretion or increased glucagon activity. Now pancreas has 2 types of cells, alpha and beta cells. Now alpha cells releases the glucagon and beta cells release the insulin and the C-peptide. So decreased insulin secretion or increased glucagon activity can ultimately lead to diabetes mellitus. Then we have liver, that is in liver increased gluconeogenesis. What is gluconeogenesis? Do you know what is gluconeogenesis? From when we take non-carbohydrate diet and when
carbohydrate breakdowns.
Yes, so increased glucose, that process is known as gluconeogenesis. So increased gluconeogenesis in the liver will ultimately lead to diabetes mellitus. Then in intestine, increased glucose absorption, and in kidney, increased glucose reabsorption. So some amount should be excreted through our kidney, but when it is increased glucose reabsorption in the kidney because of any kidney pathology can ultimately lead to more amount of glucose in our body, resulting in diabetes mellitus. Now the criteria for diagnosis of diabetes mellitus is fasting blood sugar, in short FBS. If fasting blood sugar is more than 126 mg per dl, then that is the criteria of diagnosing diabetes mellitus. Then 2 hour postprandial blood sugar, that is PPBS, more than 200. Then we have HbA1c, that is glycosylated hemoglobin. If HbA1c is more than 6.5%. Now do you know what is glycosylated hemoglobin? No. Glycosylated hemoglobin means when the glucose particles goes and binds with the RBCs, that is known as glycosylated hemoglobin. Now what is the lifespan of a RBC? 120. 90 to 120 days, 3 to 4 months. So HbA1c is the average of 3 to 4 months blood sugar. Okay, now suppose if a patient gives a blood sugar, goes for a test for blood sugar, if he gave a early morning sample fasting and the previous night he had more amount of sugar, maybe he had 10 sweets, okay, and next day if he goes and gives his blood sample, anyway the report will be more, the blood sugar will be more, fasting will be more. So in that way it will not give you the actual accurate value. But HbA1c is not like that. HbA1c gives you the value of 3 months average. Okay, 3 months average value, because our RBC's lifespan is 3 to 4 months, that is 90 to 120 days. So checking HbA1c gives you a better idea. Okay, and postprandial is we advise for fasting, that is early morning sample, then we advise the patient to take meal, and after 2 hours we check the blood sugar again, that is postprandial. And random blood sugar, you are very familiar with it. Anytime you can check for the random blood sugar. So random blood sugar, if it comes more than 200 and plus, there are other symptoms as well, polyphagia, polydipsia and polyuria. So you know what is polyphagia means? Eating more. Polydipsia means drinking more water, and polyuria means drinking more water, more urination will also be there. So if these things are there, then you can say that maybe the patient is diabetic. Then another is the C-peptide level is measured of endogenous insulin level. So now you cannot check the insulin level or the function of the pancreas to see whether the patient is diabetic or whether the insulin is properly releasing in the body or not. So for that, to check whether everything is normal or not, we check for the C-peptide level. So C-peptide level was released in the pancreas by the beta cells, which also releases the insulin. So if the C-peptide level is normal, means the insulin is also normal in the patient's body. Okay, so these are the criteria. Note this down. So the types of DM: type 1 diabetes mellitus, type 2 diabetes mellitus, type 1.5 diabetes mellitus. In that we have ketosis prone diabetes and LADA, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. Then in type 3, also known as hybrid diabetes, for an example pancreatic diabetes. Okay, type 4 DM, that is age related diabetes, and MODY, MODY, maturity onset diabetes in young. Okay, this type 1.5 and MODY, these are newly diagnosed, maybe less than a decade back. Okay, so these are very fresh, so you should be, if not in details, but you should be at least able to pronounce it. Okay, you should have a little idea about this. You can get your Viva questions, maybe suppose your Benedict test. So if Benedict is positive, means the patient could be having diabetes, right? So maybe then if the external fields like asking you that what is diabetes, what are the types of diabetes, so you should be able to say all these names, not only type 1 and type 2. Okay, so type 1 diabetes mellitus, look here in the board. Can you all see? Can you see? Okay, so we have type 1 diabetes, then we have type 1.5, in that we have KPD, LADA, then we have our type 2 diabetes, and we have our MODY, right? Okay, so in type 1, the average presentation of the patient, the age group will be 15, these are the average ages, okay, 15 to 20 years, means young adults, adolescent period patients. So type 1 is an autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune means
attacking.
your immunity is killing you. Your own immunity is killing you. So type 1 is an autoimmune disorder. The antibodies, if you check for the antibodies will be present because it is an autoimmune disorder. Means your immunity is killing the beta cells. Okay, your own immunity is killing the beta cells, as well as the insulin is also not there. Ketosis will be there in type 1. Ketosis will be there and C-peptide level will be low. Why?
Because
Beta cells are not there. Obviously, C-peptide will be low. And decay will be there. Diabetic ketoacidosis will be there. Why? Because it is a fast presentation. If suppose a 15 or 16-year-old boy is starting to develop the symptoms, okay, 7 days back. So within the next 10 days, he can come in decay. Why? Because the antibodies has killed the beta cells. Okay, has killed the beta cells. So obviously there is no insulin. So when the patient, when the 16-year-old will take glucose, will it get digested? Metabolism will take place. It will not take place. But body needs energy to function, right? So what will the body do in that case? Fat metabolism will be there. I taught you in Rotheras. When we need energy to function, so if we cannot metabolize the glucose, then fat metabolism will be there. And what is the this one product of fat metabolism? Ketone bodies. Ketone bodies is a product of fat metabolism only, right? So that's why in type 1 decay is there. Ketoacidosis is there because of this reason. And why it is severe? Because this type 1 is severe because it does not give the patient the time to cope up with the disease. It happens, the onset is very fast. The onset of type 1 diabetes is very fast. As I said, if the symptoms has started 1 week back, within a 10-day span, the patient will be in a very severe form. Diabetic ketoacidosis is a very severe form. So the patient will come to you in that form, okay, like with diabetic ketoacidosis, okay. Now coming to type 2, the average age starts from 30 to 35 and it can be more also, 50, 55 also. This is just an average age. So this is an insulin resistance diabetes. Insulin resistance means, what do you understand by resistance? I'm giving you something, but you are resistant to it. Means the body is producing insulin. Okay, the pancreas is producing insulin. There is nothing that is stopping it. Like in type 1, the immunity was killing the beta cells, but that is not happening in type 2. The body is producing insulin in the normal way it is, but your body is not using the whole of it. Maybe at the age of 30, your body produced suppose 100% insulin, but at the age of 30 your body is only utilizing 90%. The 10% the body is not utilizing. Then gradually by the age of 40 the body is not utilizing 90, it decreased to 70. Okay, then at the age of 50 it furthermore decreased to 60. So like that the efficacy of the insulin usage decreases. So in that process your body is also adapting to it, right? With slowly it is adapting to it. So it is a slow process. Your body adapts to it. So that's why the presentation of type 2 diabetes patient is not severe like the way it was in type 1. Here it is more slow process. The patient will come to you in the clinic or in the OPD with just the diabetic complaints of polyuria, polyphagia, polydipsia, fatigue. And another thing to note in type 2 diabetes is the patients are obese. Obese means fat. The patients are obese and they'll have dyslipidemia. Okay, they'll have dyslipidemia and acanthosis nigricans. Do you know what is acanthosis nigricans? You will see in some obese patients, they have some dark patches over their neck or their underarms. Those are not dirt. That is acanthosis nigricans. Okay, the presentation of type 2 DM patient is like that with dyslipidemia, acanthosis nigricans, okay, fatigue, all these things. So ketosis is negative in this case. Why ketosis will be negative? Because your body is already adjusting with the little bit amount of insulin is there. So there is no requirement of fat metabolism, right? And C-peptide will be normal because beta cells are working fine. So C-peptide will be normal. Insulin is also getting produced in normal amount only. It's just your body is not using it. So decay is rare in that case, okay? Got it? And antibody will be negative. Why? Because it is not an autoimmune disorder. So obviously antibody will be negative. Okay? Now coming to 1.5, we have KPD and LADA. What is the full form of KPD? Ketosis prone diabetes. And LADA means latent. Okay. So ketosis prone diabetes, it is already there in the name. Ketosis prone diabetes means ketosis will be present here. Okay, ketosis will be there, and KPD is also insulin resistant diabetes. Again the same thing. Body is producing insulin. Pancreas is producing insulin, but the body is not being able to use it the full amount. Okay. So antibody will be negative here, just the way it was in type 2. Okay, but it is a fast process. Now this was a slow process, right? This type 2 was a slow process, but this one is fast. Fast why? Because maybe the child at the 15 years of age, all of a sudden he developed this insulin resistance. He was fine since his birth, he was fine. He was normally functioning, everything was fine. But the onset is all of a sudden his body started insulin resistance. The onset is very sudden. So in that case, what will happen? Ketosis will be there. All of a sudden, if it stops, obviously ketosis will be there. But in this case, it will not be there. In type 2, it will not be there because the process was slow. The body was using the insulin, but in smaller percentage, and gradually it decreased. But here it is not that. The onset is all of a sudden. Okay, that's why ketosis will be there. Decay is positive. C-peptide will be normal. Okay, and antibody will be negative. Okay, so the answer is in the name, ketosis prone diabetes. Then we have LADA, latent. Yes. What is the meaning of latent? Hidden. It is sleeping. It is sleeping. Okay, the answer is in the name itself. It is sleeping. It is an autoimmune disorder. Okay, but it is a slow process. Autoimmune means your immunity is killing the beta cells, as a result of which insulin is not getting produced. But the process is very slow. That's why the name latent means it is sleeping. Okay. So it is an autoimmune disorder which is a slow one, slow process. This one was also autoimmune disorder. Okay, don't get confused. This was also autoimmune disorder type 1. LADA is also an autoimmune disorder, but the process is slow. Antibodies will be positive. Okay, ketosis will be negative because it is a slow process. Slow process. Whenever the process is slow, when the disease is giving you time, the body is also coping up accordingly. Okay. Then we have the C-peptide level that will be low because C-peptide will be low because
Beta cells.
beta cells are, yes, and decay is rare in that case. Okay, decay is rare in LADA. So now, suppose I am assuming you understood it. Did you understand or should I repeat? Now how to diagnose? Everything is all getting blocked in the brain. How to diagnose is you check for few things. Whenever you get a question related to diabetes, first you check that whether decay is there or not. Okay, you check whether ketosis is mentioned or not, that ketosis present or absent, whether that is mentioned or not. If ketosis is present, that means these two. Ketosis means type 1 or KPD, because over here ketosis is rare. Okay, over here in LADA and type 2 ketosis is rare. Okay, first point. And then you see for antibody. Antibody is present or not, because suppose if it is decay means you go this side. If it is decay positive means you forget LADA and type 2. You only focus in type 1 and KPD. Now in type 1 and KPD both has ketosis. Now how to differentiate whether it is type 1 or KPD? Then you check for the antibody. Okay. If antibody is positive means autoimmune disorder means type 1. If antibody is negative means insulin resistance means KPD. Okay. Now another thing is, if suppose both are in young age only, right? Age group is also same. Now if suppose you get a question that young age and everything is there, antibody and all, you saw that as well, but you saw that decay is not there, ketosis is not there, then that will mean MODY. Okay, then that will means MODY. MODY is maturity onset diabetes in young. Means the onset or the presentation of the diabetes is like that of an older person, but it is seen in younger people. Okay, that is why the name is MODY, maturity onset diabetes in young. Maturity onset diabetes. Okay, the presentation is of that of an older person, but it is in young people. Okay, now similar wise, if you see that the decay is not there, ketosis is not there, means you will focus in LADA or type 2. Okay, then you check that, suppose if it is LADA or type 2, how to understand further? You check for the antibody, whether present or not. If present means LADA, if absent means type 2. As well as other things you will get in the question that will help you in diagnosis is, type 2 patient will, it will be mentioned that they are obese, the BMI is more or the body weight is more, fatigue will be there. Okay, then this acanthosis nigricans that will be there, or dyslipidemia will be there. These are the few points for diagnosing type 2. Okay, MODY. See, MODY is also a type of diabetes, right? So if suppose MODY also happens in younger group of children, the name itself says maturity onset of diabetes in young. So this type 1 and KPD is also happening in young only. So if suppose you are seeing that a patient young, okay, you check for the antibody and all, everything you have checked, but you saw that ketosis is not there. If ketosis is not there, then we suspect MODY. Now how to confirm MODY, that I will tell. Okay, we suspect MODY if ketosis is not there. Okay,
And if the decay is negative?
yes, that's when we suspect MODY. If the decay is negative, that's when we suspect MODY. Okay, in these two age groups. Okay, these the young age groups to people. So type 1 diabetes mellitus commonly seen in younger patients 15 to 20 years. Then autoantibodies are present, therefore C-peptide is low. Present, therefore C-peptide is low. Family history is rare. Okay, so it doesn't mean that if the parents are having or not, it is rare. If the parents are not having, doesn't mean that the offspring cannot have. Okay, it is rare. Then patient's build is thin. Decay is more common. So in type 2, patient build was obese. In type 1, it is thin. Decay is more common because it is more severe form of diabetes. Presentation is more severe. That's why decay is more common. No acanthosis nigricans, but in type 2 we had acanthosis nigricans. Okay, and dyslipidemia is absent in type 1 but present in type 2. Okay, so our first case, a 16-year-old male patient presented to clinic with complaints of polyuria, polyphagia and 5 kg weight loss since last 3 weeks. He also reports fatigue and difficulty in concentrating in school. His mother notes that he has been eating more than usual but still appears thinner and weaker. Okay, so he is eating more but still he is thinner and weaker. There is no family history of DM. Mother is having hypothyroidism. Okay, so lab reports say that RBS is high, HbA1c is also high. Serum ketones elevated means spiked. Enzymology, you saw that C-peptide level is low and autoantibodies, that is glutamic acid, you should know the names, okay, these are the antibodies, okay, glutamic acid decarboxylase, that is GAD65 antibodies positive, as well as islet cell antibodies, ICA is also positive. Okay, so the thing is the age. First you note down the age, 16 years. Then we saw that he is having complaints of polyuria, polyphagia. Okay, weight loss. Weight loss is there, but his mother said that he is eating more. Okay, polyphagia. Okay, so as well as he is having difficulty in concentrating in school, means why do we get more hungry when we study? Do you know? When we study or we concentrate more, why? Huh? Our brain needs glucose to concentrate. So he is eating more, but is there any energy production? Is glucose metabolism taking place? It is not taking place. That's why whatever he is eating, but the glucose metabolism is not happening. Okay. Then we saw that there is no history of diabetes mellitus, but his mother has hypothyroidism. What is hypothyroidism? Who can tell me?
Increased level of insulin. Increased level of insulin.
So is the thyroid hormone normal?
No.
It's not normal, right? Why? It is a, yes. So what kind of disease is it? Is it an autoimmune disorder? Yes, it is an autoimmune disorder. Yes, your own immunity is killing the cells in the thyroid gland. That is why the hormone level is not normal. Discussion afterwards. First listen to me, okay? It is an autoimmune disorder, okay? Mother is having an autoimmune disorder. That is what you should note from here. So he is eating more but build is thin. He is weak, not being able to concentrate, okay? Increase of this eating and more urination, this all are there. Then you check, next you check for the blood. You saw that ketosis is there, right? And also RBS and HbA1c is elevated. C-peptide is low. Then these autoantibodies are positive. So if autoantibody is positive, means it is a autoimmune disorder or a insulin resistant disease. Autoimmune disorder, age is 16. As well as ketosis is present, right? So, type 1. You understood now how to find out? You check for ketosis is present or not. You check the age group as well as the complaints also you check for it, right? Then C-peptide level you check. Okay, that's how you come to the diagnosis. It is autoimmune disorder, that is type 1. Type 1 diabetes mellitus. And these are the two antibodies, okay? These antibodies that will be present, these are the two antibodies. Note it down. So type 2 DM, commonly seen in older patients, age 30 to 35. Okay, autoantibodies are absent, therefore C-peptide level is high. Autoantibodies are absent, therefore C-peptide level is high. Then family history are more common, means if parents are having it, Okay, if the parents are having this, so the possibility of the offspring having it is more common. Patient's build is obese. Decay is rare in this type. Okay, because it is a slow process. Okay, the progress of this disease is slow. Acanthosis nigricans is present, suggestive of metabolic syndrome, that is dyslipidemia. Okay, because the patient is obese, he is having dyslipidemia. Because of dyslipidemia, which is a metabolic syndrome, acanthosis nigricans is present. Okay, so case 2, that is a 52-year-old male obese patient. Okay, 52-year-old male obese patient whose BMI is 32 kg per meter square. Presence in OPD with complaints of fatigue, increased thirst, frequent urination over the past 3 months. He is a known case of hypertension, dyslipidemia, and his father is having type 2 DM. The patient is having a sedentary lifestyle. Okay, so he is obese, having a sedentary lifestyle. His father also is having type 2 DM. Okay, then on physical examination, the patient is having dark patches on the neck and the axilla. Acanthosis nigricans is present. So the lab reports suggest RBS is high, fasting blood sugar is also high, then HbA1c is 8.5%. Urine analysis showed glucose is present and ketones are absent. Okay, so the case is type 2 DM. The diagnosis is type 2 DM. Okay, now can you explain me why type 2 DM?
That ketosis and antibody
That is the thing. Physical presentation is one thing, everything is fine, but blood report, what about that? Okay, antibody I did not mention because it is absent. Okay, so ketosis absent, that's why it is type 2. Obviously the age, the obesity and all, everything is there, but also blood report also you have to see. Okay, that's why it is type 2 DM. So the enzymatic changes. Okay, insulin resistance. So type 2 is a insulin resistant or autoimmune disorder? Insulin resistance, yes. So insulin resistance is due to impaired function of insulin receptor substrate, that is IRS, okay, insulin receptor substrate proteins. So insulin resistance happened due to the impaired function of insulin receptor substrate. Did you understand this line? See, suppose this is insulin and this is the glucose. So what is the function of the insulin? To go, bind, and helps in breaking down and energy. So what happens if the receptor of the insulin is already dysfunction? Will it go and bind? It will not. So that is IRS, insulin receptor substrate defect. Okay, so insulin resistant due to the impaired function of the insulin receptor substrate. The defect is in the insulin receptors, because of which it cannot go and bind with the glucose. Okay, then we have increased hepatic gluconeogenesis due to overexpression of PEPCK, that is phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, and glucose 6-phosphatase enzymes. Gluconeogenesis, you know what it is, I told. So when gluconeogenesis increases in the liver, that is increased hepatic gluconeogenesis. Hepatic means liver. So increased hepatic gluconeogenesis. Now why it is happening? Due to overexpression of phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase and glucose 6-phosphatase enzymes. Because of these two enzymes, the increased hepatic gluconeogenesis will happen, ultimately resulting in diabetes. Then we have adipose tissue dysfunction, increases lipolysis, that is fatty tissues dysfunction increases lipolysis, means breaking down. Okay, when the fatty tissues breaks down, that is lipolysis, which causes elevated free fatty acids. Okay, which will ultimately cause elevated, means more free fatty acids, resulting in increased insulin resistance. Then we have decreased activity of glycogen synthase in the liver and skeletal muscle. What is glycogen synthase? So suppose we took Suppose I ate food, okay? I ate food and now I have 300 sugar in my body. My sugar is 300. So is that normal? No. So much is not required, right? So how to bring it to normal? The amount of glucose I need for the functioning of my body, that is there, but the rest of it is circulating in the body. Now what this glycogen synthase does, it's an enzyme which helps the excess glucose to get stored in the liver and the muscle, so that when there is an energy crisis, it can be used up. But if the glycogen synthase activity is only not there, if there is a defect of this enzyme, will this process happen? It will not happen. So the glucose level will be high only, because it is not getting stored for the future use, right? So this decreased activity of glycogen synthase in the liver and the skeletal muscle will ultimately result in diabetes, that is more glucose level in the body. Then reduced glycolysis due to impaired activity of hexokinase 2. What is glycolysis? Breakdown of glucose. So if there is no hexokinase 2, will this happen? It will not happen. That means glucose will be more amount in the body, resulting in ultimately diabetes, right? Okay. So type 1.5 DM, that is LADA and KPD. Age is young adults 20 to 35 LADA, and KPD is young adults 15 to 25. Okay. Gender, male and female are in equal ratio to develop LADA. Okay. But in KPD we have male more prone to develop KPD compared to the female. Now presentation is insidious. Insidious means hidden. LADA is more hidden, slow, silent, but explosive. KPD is explosive. That is why the presentation is more severe. Then body build will be thin in LADA and KPD will be obese. Okay. And at onset means in KPD patient will come to you with ketosis, okay? That means patient will come to you with DK, diabetic ketoacidosis. Patient will come to you with that. Then antibodies will be present plus in LADA, but here it will be present negligible. You can see it is absent only, okay, in KPD. Now the initial management is OHA, that is oral hypoglycemic agent for LADA. But obviously if the patient is presenting to you in such an emergency state, you will not start with tablets, you will obviously start with insulin, and gradually afterwards you will give OHA, and over here for long term management we will give insulin. Okay, this is the how to, for easier understanding I give this. Control, then we start with OHA, lower dose, then we increase it. Okay, we increase it and see. If it is not managed by OHA, then we start insulin at a lower dose. If not, then we start with higher dose. It's like that. So all of a sudden nothing is given. And over here in OHA, in LADA, OHA is, but the patient gets managed with OHA only. In long term, then insulin is given ultimately. So type 3DM and type 4DM. Type 3, it is also known as hybrid diabetes. One such example is pancreatic diabetes seen in fibrocalculous chronic pancreatitis. The presentation is catastrophic. Okay, you know acute pancreatitis, right? Yes or no? Yes, class was taken on that. Yes. So this fibrocalculus means in chronic pancreatitis, what happens to the pancreas? What happens in acute? It gets inflamed. So in chronic, what happens? It gets inflamed or it shrinks. It shrinks in size. Fibrocalculus means stones are formed, okay, because of calcium deposition. Now type, if a person develop pancreatitis once, he is more prone to develop diabetes. If he is not stopping his bad habits, that is drinking and all, okay. If once somebody who develops pancreatitis and he was supposed to develop DM at the age of maybe 60, he will develop it at 40 only, okay. So the presentation is catastrophic, means very severe. The presentation is very severe and the symptoms will be acute severe abdominal pain. Obviously because of pancreatitis, abdominal pain will be there. Then steatorrhea. Do you know what is steatorrhea? when fat is not getting metabolized and it is coming out with the stool. Okay, that is steatorrhea. Then DM with extensive pancreatic calcification will be there. Okay, these are the symptoms: acute severe abdominal pain, steatorrhea, and diabetes mellitus with extensive pancreatic calcification. Now this type 3 DM is ketosis negative diabetes. Do you know why ketosis negative? Who can tell me why ketosis negative?
Because the fat is not getting
Exactly. Fat is not getting metabolized and coming out with the stool, then how will the ketosis happen? Okay. Then coming to type 4 DM, this is seen in patients aged more than 60 years who developed hyperglycemia for the first time. Okay, age-related diabetes. There is no feature of insulin resistance. There is no micro or macro complications. This type has a good prognosis and can be easily managed with OHA. So somebody who got diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 60, we started the patient with OHA, but somebody who got diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 30 or 40, we started with OHA. So by the time he reaches 60, he is already on insulin. Okay, but person who got it at the age of 60 and started with OHA, he will start insulin maybe in the next 10 to 15 years, right? Right. So this type has more better prognosis because this is age related. When we age, we gradually our body will start to not function like the way we are while we are young. You cannot compare the body of a 20, 30-year-old with a 60, 70-year-old, right? So MODY, maturity onset diabetes in young. It's an autosomal dominant disease. It is seen in adolescent and early adulthood, less than 25 years of age. There are 7 types. Type 1, HNF4 alpha mutation. Type 2, glucokinase. Type 3, HNF1 alpha. Type 4, insulin promoter factor. Type 5, HNF1 beta. Type 6, NeuroD1. Type 7, KLF. Now all these types are due to transcription defect, except type 2, which is due to enzyme defect. Glucokinase is an enzyme, right? So if you check that this glucokinase is not there, means that is type 2 MODY. Now coming to here, as he asked me, how we suspected MODY here, right? We got a case, as I said, we got a case, everything, this age and all, everything young, then this antibody and everything, you checked that, but you saw that DKA is absent. So if absent, we suspect for MODY. Now how to confirm whether it is MODY or not? That is by checking this. This transcription factor, this type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, if one of it is present, means it is MODY. Okay, so if type 7 is present, means type 7 MODY. Okay, that's how we do it. That's how we confirm. Here we suspect. We suspect here and we confirm by this. Okay, by the transcription, this test. Okay. So we check for the types, which type of MODY. If it is MODY, then which type. And this type 2 is because of this enzyme defect. Type 2 MODY is because of enzyme defect and the enzyme is glucokinase. Okay. Type 2 MODY is seen in children and it does not require any drugs. Food habits, if the food is controlled, if we take the less glucose type of foods which does not contain much glucose, then it can be managed. It does not require drugs. Type 3 is most common type in India and worldwide. So basically the thing is, see, at your level, you will not get a long question from diabetes mellitus. You will get few MCQs only. So this type 2, 3, type 5, this you should know because you might get few MCQs, that's all. You will not get write a short note on MODY. No, this you will get in your final year. You should know everything in and out in detail about diabetes for your final year. At your level, you should know like the basic things only. Like if somebody is asking you, if external is asking you what is MODY, so you should not give a blank face. So type 2 is seen in children and it does not require any drugs. Type 3 is most common type in India and worldwide. So type 5 has the highest risk for complication. Type Type 5 HNF1 beta has the highest risk for complication. Microvascular complications can occur in all MODY types. Okay, in MODY there is no risk for macro complications and decay. So nothing severe is there. Micro complications will be there. There is no concept of insulin resistance. It is well controlled with sulfonylurease. That is a type of OHA. Okay, so you might get a MCQ like which type of OHA controls MODY. Okay, like that type of questions you will get. Okay, so your third case, a 56 years old male who is known case of DM presented with diminishing vision in both eyes over the past 1 to 3 months. So he is known case of, he is already diabetic, diagnosed diabetic, age 56 years. Complaint was diminishing vision in both eyes over the past 1 to 3 months. His past ocular history includes laser treatment for diabetic retinopathy in both eyes. Okay, he did some laser treatment for problem in his both eyes. His examination now revealed proliferative diabetic retinopathy, which is worse in the left eye with neovascularization, pre-retinal hemorrhage. Okay, he was diagnosed with high risk proliferative diabetic retinopathy in both eyes and hypertension. So the diagnosis is already given. He was diagnosed with high risk proliferative diabetic retinopathy in both eyes and hypertension. His treatment plan included strict glycemic and BP control. Strict glycemic means glucose. Glucose, that is sugar control, and blood pressure control. Intravitreal injection in left eye followed by vitrectomy. Okay. So the diagnosis of this case is diabetic retinopathy, which is a chronic complication of diabetes mellitus. If there is chronic, there should be acute complication as well. So the acute complications of diabetes mellitus are DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, and HHS.
What is HHS?
Hyperosmolar hyperglycemic state. These are the two acute complications, and in chronic we have one diabetic retinopathy. Okay. Hyperosmolar hyperglycemic state. So this is your case. So the risk factors of this disease are duration of diabetes mellitus. If a patient is having diabetes for a prolonged period of time, he is at the risk of developing diabetic retinopathy. Uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, if somebody is having diabetes but they are not taking medication properly, then they are at the risk of developing this diabetic retinopathy. Then type 1 DM are more prone to developing it compared to type 2 DM. Type 1 DM are more prone to developing it. The presentation was severe with DKA, so they can present with diabetic retinopathy as well. The onset is sudden compared to type 2 DM. Okay. Symptoms of this disease are gradual painless vision loss, mostly due to cystoid macular edema. Now your ophtha is not covered, right? So you will not know. Our retina has 10 layers. Okay, there are 10 layers of our retina. So suppose between the last layers, that is between the 9th and 10th layer, that which was supposed to be like this, right? Which was supposed to be like this, but because of water accumulation in these two layers, it became like this, right? Now here water is there, it became like this. It is not like this, it became like this. This cystoid macular edema. Now will the vision be clear in that case? It will not be clear, right? So it is a gradual painless vision loss. Okay, it's a gradual process. Obviously this much water accumulation will not happen all of a sudden. Gradually it will happen, but there will be no pain. Then we have sudden painless vision loss, mostly due to pre-retinal hemorrhage. That means blood will be there in the eye, which will cause the sudden painless vision loss. Suddenly there will be bleeding in the eye, because of which there will be sudden painless vision loss. Okay. Then we have the pathogenesis. Why it is happening? Diabetic retinopathy is a vascular complication, okay, of diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy is a vascular complication of diabetes, where surrounding the retina there are vessels and pericytes. Pericytes means small cells are there. Okay, so surrounding our retina there are multiple vessels and small cells. Now, in diabetes, the glycosylated products, that is the glucose-rich products, accumulates in the pericytes. Means in diabetes mellitus, the glucose-rich products, that is the glycosylated products, accumulate in the cells, that is the pericytes, right? And it gets destroyed. And in those places microaneurysm occurs. Now suppose in the cells, okay, in the cells the glucose rich products went and accumulated. It will destroy it, okay, it will cause aneurysm. Aneurysm means clumped blood. Before bursting out there will be a clump, right? Accumulation of blood will be there, then it will burst out. It will burst out and it will give the hemorrhage, that is the bleeding that happens, okay, it gives the bleeding. Now when that is done, after that neovascularization happens, that means new vessels are formed, okay. In this case you saw in examination now revealed proliferative diabetic retinopathy, which is worse in the left eye with neovascularization, pre-retinal hemorrhage. Means it happened in this person's case. That is, the glycosylated product went and got accumulated in the cells in the retina. It got clumped, it burst, gave the bleeding. After that, it formed new vessels, neovascularization, right? And for the treatment of neovascularization, we give this injection, this intravitreal injection for the treatment of neovascularization, okay? So this is the pathogenesis, why this is happening. Okay. Next, there can be two types of diabetic retinopathy: non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy and proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Cystoid macular edema can occur in any stage of diabetic retinopathy. Okay, cystoid macular edema can occur in any stage, any of this stage. You don't have to know in details about these two types, that you have to know in your third year ophtha. So this is our last case. A 45-year-old male patient came to OPD with complaints of anorexia, nausea, vomiting. Now this anorexia, nausea, vomiting, these are very common complaints. Any disease, they'll complain of this, anorexia, nausea, vomiting. Okay. So foamy appearance of the urine. Now that is important. Foamy appearance of the urine. Why do we see? Protein, exactly. Foamy appearance of the urine is because of presence of protein in urine and decreased urine output since last few days. So he is having protein in urine as well as the urine output is decreased since last few days. He also complained of swelling of legs, puffiness of the face, which is normal in the morning, which is more in the morning. So he complained of swelling in the legs. So urine output is less, means the water is remaining in the body only. So that's why swelling of the leg and puffiness of the face, which is more in the morning. He is a known case of hypertension, diabetes, but under irregular medication since last 10 years. So he is having hypertension and diabetes since last 10 years, but he is under irregular medication. Now the lab investigations, you saw that FBS is 210, PPBS, postprandial blood sugar is 330, HbA1c is 10.5, lipid profile is deranged, serum urea is 130, serum creatinine is 2.5, all elevated. Urine analysis, you saw glucose is present, protein is also present, and urine ACR, that is albumin creatinine ratio, is high. Now the diagnosis is, it is the case of diabetic nephropathy, another chronic complication of DM. Tell me why.
Those kidneys are injured primarily because urine output output बहुत कम है, like edema, which is why
Huh?
nephropathy.
Nephropathy because urine output was less.
Kidney function
Is impaired. See, lipid profile is not suggestive in this particular case. There will be many other reports that you will be doing, not suggestive in this particular case. If it was type 2 DM, then it was important in diagnosis. Over here, it is high, it can be. It's not like it will come normal only, okay, but not suggestive of anything in this case. How to understand is, as who said ACR? Somebody, yes. So urine ACR means albumin creatinine ratio. You cannot say somebody's kidneys are not functioning until and unless you check for urine ACR. Okay, urine ACR, albumin creatinine ratio. So what happens is, normally our nephrons are normal, then they can filter out, reabsorb, and they can do all the functions normally. So suppose our nephrons are this, okay, these are our nephrons, the gaps. Right, now if the albumin is this big, can it pass through this much gap? It cannot, but a small chunk can pass through. If it is this small, it can get through, right? So if the nephrons are not proper, then this urine ACR will be high. Another thing, protein is present, means kidneys are not functioning properly. If protein is present, means kidneys are not functioning properly. Okay, then we check that obviously sugar, everything is high. For diagnosing sugar, everything, this FBS, PPBS, HbA1c is high, that's why diabetic. Right, also patient gave a history that he is diabetic and hypertensive, but not taking regular medication. That's why his FBS, PPBS, HbA1c is high. Then the main thing that nobody noticed was this serum urea and creatinine. Serum urea and creatinine. I am telling you, everything is high. Nobody mentioned this serum urea and creatinine. Acha, you are not sure, but I told you that it is high. Everything is high. That's why I mentioned everything is high. But nobody noticed it. It's more than high. Urea is 120 or 125, something in that range. I can't quite recall it, okay, but it is high, more than normal. Both of it was normal. That's why when I was reading it out, I mentioned, but nobody noticed that everything is high. Okay, so in the first case only you should have understood that urea creatinine is high. Creatinine is more than normal range. Okay, so it's a case of diabetic nephropathy, which is also a chronic complication of DM. Now the causes are, there are three major histological changes which occur in the glomeruli in diabetic nephropathy. What is histological? What is histology? What is the meaning of histology? Huh? Studying the cells under the microscope. So when you see under the microscope, you will see that in the glomeruli, glomerular basement membrane is thickened, mesangial proliferation, and glomerular sclerosis. Now what happens is mesangial proliferation. Proliferation means new cells. New cells are formed, right? If new cells are formed, if the thickening of the basement membrane was supposed to be this much, because of new cells it will be this much. So when new cells are formed, sclerosis will also happen. They will join also, right? So glomerular basement membrane thickening, because of mesangial cell proliferation, new cells are formed. That's why it's thickened, and sclerosis is happening, joining is happening. That's why these three are the major histological changes which occur in the glomeruli in diabetic nephropathy, because of which the patient's kidneys are not functioning properly. Okay. Then renal failure usually takes more than 10 years to develop after the onset of nephropathy. Means suppose if the patient develop renal nephropathy, diabetic nephropathy, means what? Kidneys are not functioning properly, right? So the patient started oral medication or dialysis or whatsoever to maintain it. Renal failures usually takes more than 10 years to develop after the onset of nephropathy. So if the patient develop nephropathy, suppose the patient developed at the age of 50 maybe, or 60 he develops. So it will take him 10 years for his kidneys to totally shut down. And in that case, he will require what? Transplant to totally shut down, or dialysis in that case. But with dialysis also that patient cannot survive unless transplant is done. But the prognosis is very bad in transplant also. I think you know, I have said that transplant is also not 100%, right? Yes. Detection. Now urine ACR levels should be checked as soon as diabetes is diagnosed and measured annually. or half yearly for the early detection of diabetic nephropathy. So urine ACR, as I have said, this big albumin chunk cannot pass, but small amount can pass. So we check it by urine ACR. Should be checked as soon as a patient is diagnosed with diabetes, and this ACR should be checked annually once, means once, at least once or else twice, to check whether this diabetic nephropathy has started or not. To confirm that, we check the urine ACR. Now the classification, the kidney disease improving global outcome, that is KDIGO guidelines. The kidney disease improving global outcome, KDIGO guidelines, classifies diabetes nephropathy depending upon GFR. What is GFR? Glomerular filtration rate. Stage 1 GFR is normal. Suppose you check that stage 1 GFR is normal, that is less than 90 ml per minute with microalbuminuria. That means GFR is coming normal, but little bit albumin is present. That I said that a little bit can pass through the nephrons, that is present, but the GFR is normal in stage 1. In stage 2, the GFR decreases to 60 to 89. In stage 3, it further decreases to 30 to 59. In stage 4, it further decreases to 15 to 29. So you can see slowly the GFR is decreasing. Finally, in stage 5, the GFR is less than 15 ml per minute, which is also known as ESRD, end stage renal disease, where your kidneys are, yes. So diabetic nephropathy can lead to ESRD if not managed properly. If not managed properly, diabetic nephropathy can lead to ESRD. If the urine ACR goes above 30 mg, that indicates a higher risk of kidney failure. Okay, if the urine ACR goes above 30 mg, it indicates a higher risk of kidney failure. Now suppose a newly diagnosed diabetic patient, okay, you checked for the newly diagnosed or late diagnosed, you checked for this GFR and you saw that it is not stage 1, it is stage 3, that is GFR is coming 30 to 59. Now this particular patient will develop kidney failure faster, okay, 10 years, normally it take 10 years, right? In this case 10 years will not this one be there. Earlier than that, the patient will develop kidney failure compared to a patient if his GFR was stage 1. If the GFR was normal, then it would have given you 10 years time. Okay, but if it is already stage 3 or stage 4 in some cases, then it doesn't give you the 10 years time also for the kidney failure or the kidney shutdown. Okay, so this is